Thank you very much, Veli. And it is indeed time, ladies and gentlemen, for our final matchup of the day between OXG as well as XSET. The top of the league, or very close to it, going up against, once again, very close to the bottom of the league, or at least that's how it would appear based on the previous stages, but it's not exactly the case. XSET has given us quite a few surprises this stage with their performance against some of the top echelon teams, including a victory versus the Sonics, and we'll have to wait and see if they can pull one out versus Oxygen today. But before we talk too much about that, we do want to bring up our community poll question. NVK and Laxing are both top 10 of NA players for career kills per round. Who will have the higher KPR in this match? Will it be NVK or will it be Laxing?
Well, it's going to be a difficult choice. For me personally, you know, I got to go Laxing. I mean, Laxing has been so consistent for Oxygen, especially throughout the season where we've seen him time and time again get called up to the plate, and he's been able to knock it out of the park, getting rounds time and time again for them. As for XSET, it's been a longer, more difficult road for them, especially for NVK trying to work his way back into Rainbow Six Siege after a short span of time with Valorant. And now, here on Oregon, seeing if he can take it to Oxygen and a couple of the members that he's played against quite a few times in the past. Should be an interesting one, as we'll get right into it.
Let's indeed hop right into the matchup here, as Oregon's certainly going to test the mettle of XSET to the fullest extent. This is a map that both teams should know inside and out by this point, but how long it's been in potential play, so not going to be too many surprises for either team to bring out. However, there's always room for us to be surprised a little bit. We'll wait and see in the map how exactly that will play out. Flores will be our first ban. No surprises, seeing it's coming from XSET, as Oxygen have become huge fans of Flores picks, so they would be using it quite liberally if it was not banned out. Thatcher will follow that, as Oxygen will go for a fairly standard meta ban, and more than likely will follow up with the same for their defender ban here in a second, and indeed they will, as Mira will get chucked out by them.
Yeah, this is as straightforward as you can get with bans on Oregon. So Flores, Thatcher, and Mira all removed, and all of those mostly playing into the utility, especially on the offense. As for Mira, that's more standoffish for the defense and the way that they can uphold things, especially on the basement. As for XSET, they're going to be removing the last defender here, and this is actually going to be one that's pretty unique. We're going to get Goyo removed, and that's actually going to help inside of this shield game. I really like this, especially because they added onto that with the Flores ban, so it's going to make it to where things are a little bit easier in trying to get rid of some of those deployable shields.
Let's see how these two teams will clash out against each other now as we're hopping into it. XSET obviously has the defensive start, so like we said, certainly, we might actually have, a bit of a tech pause here for a second, as one of the players from XSET has quickly dropped out of the game.
Perfect time, then. Perfect time.
Yeah,
Can we please see Kino? Can we please see Kino production? Is that okay? Does somebody have an angle on this man right now?
I don't think he has them on anymore.
Oh, does no one? He needs to have them on, because
I think he took them off.
This guy looked like the Brazilian Frozone for a second. Like, he doesn't have them on anymore, but it was like
that's what they are. They're Frozone glasses.
Yes, like Frozone glasses.
I was trying to figure out what they were modeled after. It was so hard. My first thing was like the Star Trek visor. No, obviously not that.
What about
Cyclops goggles?
Yeah,
they're kind of close to those.
I'm very disappointed he's not playing with them, but you guys can see the shades sitting directly under his monitor. We don't have much else to analyze, maybe his hand positioning. I love the way that he's typing. I love the key set that he also has, and the fact that it matches not only the chair, folks, also matches his mouse pad. Do you see this color coordination here? That's how you dress nice.
No, my program monitor is a little too small for that, unfortunately, so I can't see that many details.
Just get a bigger monitor, dude. Come on. You're an esports commentator.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, I got you there, didn't I? God.
Well, it's like in the Discord window, so it's like I got something else open in there right now. It's like just in the bottom. It's the picture-in-picture thing.
That's actually the worst, by the way. That's the worst thing about Discord is when that happens. That little screen is what we get to see production off of when we're looking at questions and stuff like that. But either way, we actually have stuff to talk about now because we're back in the game, John, and we're headed to the basement.
All right, let's take a look here. Not going to be expecting anything too crazy when it comes to the setup here. The main diversion from any normal picks would mainly be what Creators is bringing in the Ella, but that's not even too far of a diversion for what we normally get here. To be completely honest with you, Ella is perfectly valid, specifically for playing against the stairs because of what those Gashmots could do, but she'll also find quite a bit of potence in other parts of this map as well.
Yes, indeed. And also a pretty extended strat here for XSET. Not something that we really see on the basement, especially with Creator's current positioning, and if he's actually going to uphold this throughout the round, but I highly doubt it. He should be playing on the mid floor here around Freezer, and that's why we have these reinforcements in the space that they are. They're more than likely going to pop the hatch open, just have Prod add one of the laser gates to the bottom, so we'll have an area to actually back off into here for Freezer, but this is more than likely about the early aggression that they can have around these Oxygen members. We're going to have Razor out here towards Cafeteria, but he's already getting marked up by these drones quite early on here, so we'll see how this goes.
Razor, unfortunately, gets shot by multiple drones here, so he's just going to have zero chance to contest this play at the end of the day. So he'll have to back up. Thankfully, he's got the cross with Creators now to play off of there, so those two should be pretty strong aligned next to each other as long as they're able to maintain those positions. With that said, however, Vertical has begun making his own forward momentum push to the inside of the kitchen, where he'll take that with absolutely no trouble whatsoever. Razor's actually going to have a nade land on him pretty accurately, actually, which is kind of surprising seeing as we have the magnet down on the ground. I don't know if that was immediately thrown down after the nade was chucked or if he just got unlucky, but yeah, the nade is unfortunately still going to do some serious damage to him at the end of the day, and he will eventually fall back, as it seems his teammate has made the same exact call, seeing as they've wasted away that first minute successfully.
Well, some solid delay from XSET, but what did they get for the time here? They've gotten a couple of drones as well as some frag grenades, I do believe, off of Vertical, but I mean, just look at the artillery that Oxygen's bringing to the table here. They're bringing, I believe, 8 frag grenades in total, as well as Kino's stuns, so they have so much utility to try and throw into these deep-seated areas that XSET have set up here, especially these deployable shields, and that's why I really like what Oxygen did with their ban phase and what they ended up removing, because getting rid of those Goyo shields means that they can't all of a sudden have 3 deployable shields inside of this space. Instead, they're going to be able to only muster 2 in the likes of Filthy and Creator, so this makes it very straightforward for Oxygen in trying to get rid of these with the utility that they've brought. And now they're going to extend this out across the entirety of this mid floor after obviously XSET backed things off earlier. They need to get the rest of these tasks done, which includes popping open these hatches and start dealing with these positions back here towards Pillar, especially with Filthy currently pushed up towards construction door.
Yeah, Filthy going to leave himself in a very awkward spot after all is said and done and those breaches are finished, but despite the awkwardness of the situation, it is still workable for him depending on the way the push comes out from Oxygen. With 45 seconds left, this is a powder keg of potential for OXG, but at the same time, it could ultimately land completely flat here. Thankfully, that's not going to be the case. Filthy is dealt with immediately upon the start of the execute here, as he's going to be naded out of his position. NVK will still be causing problems from the pillar spot, and you could say the same for Creators here on the alternate construction hallway, but he's just lost his ADSs, and Kino is going to quickly tap him as he peeks out there. Had a nade going in to do the job instead, but they're not even going to end up needing that, as the rest of the team now needs to go full speed forward here, down to a 5v2 with only 15 seconds left. Razor still getting in the way of this execute, as is Prod. They've got a combined setup to actually play off of each other here. Razor, though, will be down, unfortunately, due to the nade, and his teammate falls seconds later to give OXG control over this round.
Oxygen legitimately made a singular mistake in the entirety of that round, and it was beautifully done throughout, but obviously the case being the only one, the placement of that at the end. But I'm telling you, that was so very well done from start to finish from them, the way that they cleared things, especially with the way that XSET wanted to handle the mid-floor early on. They knew that cross was there, they dedicate utility to it and clean that up extremely quickly. As for the rest of it, I mean, Oxygen, it's like we talked about in the early round, they just have so much utility that they're able to bear down on the positioning of XSET, who aren't really able to fight back. And honestly, the Warden pick here for Creators really isn't going to change up much of that. They're not going to change anything on offense, and I hate to break it to you, these aren't smokes being thrown at you. These are frag grenades. I only believe that we actually had one stun grenade go off in the site that wasn't actually burned. So for the Warden pick to come in here, I mean, that's a little weird for XSET, but it could work, obviously, with him being in a very forward position and if things play into his favor for that.
I think more to fend off against the initial attic push more than anything is where we're really going to see this Warden come out to play, and that's if he's even in that position ultimately, which I don't think he will be due to the M590 being picked up here. But there's a couple other pushes where that are more likely going to be supported by flash dumps as well, so Creators will more than likely be the obstacle standing directly in the way of that, and that'll be the biggest reason they'll bring him to the table, is to stop that push from being a success and hopefully limit the potential execute options for OXG. With that going their way.
Yeah, but again, I'll go back to this just really quickly. They don't have any stuns. They have frag grenades. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah,
you know, Kino's the only one that has stun grenades, and he has 3 of them, and they're more than likely going to be used to burn something for the frag grenades. So it's just a fact of, you know, Warden's great. I'm not taking anything away from the pick, but what I'm saying is that there is definitely something that in slot is better than having Warden here currently. 100%.
I honestly, I didn't even notice the excessive, I'm going to call it number of frag grenades
Hey,
here from
there's
OXG.
8 frag grenades.
So, because yeah, I don't see 8 frags being run pretty regularly. Normally 2 or 3 at the most is how many operators be brought with it. But OXG is full sending it with frags here today. And the last round showing us clearly how well that can work, even to a minor extent. I think they brought a little bit less in that specific encounter. 45 seconds gone from the round. Not a whole lot transpiring just as of yet here. Razor still trying to delay, though, from his position. Now inside of security. Nearly gets the pre-fire, but is just a couple seconds too late to do so. So we'll miss it instead. Still going to be happy to hold on to security, though, and waste the time away from OXG.
Also, Creators downstairs as well. One of the frag grenades in Oxygen's arsenal land. It'll take down Filthy, our player to watch for today, but we haven't been able to watch him that much. Currently 0-2 right now, and Oxygen have done a good job of shutting him down. It's going to continue for the rest of XSET. Laxing, he's found his way into Kitchen Hall and taken out Razor. Now Creators, who we've seen on the roam throughout this. Saw him in the basement previously, now inside of Attic, but still not able to do anything up against these OXG members. And they're not even actually attacking on the true floor. They're actually attacking from below with these frag grenades, and they're getting so much done. Yaga gets another kill here on the NVK. I mean, it feels like they're fighting ghosts. Finally, they're able to land a shot. It'll take down Kino at the window, and that's going to be the case into the favor of the defense. And now XSET with an opportunity here up against this Oxygen staff. Still have 3 people here. Yaga will be running the cross, and they have vertical now, but they need to get this case back into their favor. It's more than likely going to come down to them trying to trade things out here inside of dorms.
Vertical waiting for the right opportunity to move forward here. This 2-player setup on the inside of Kids is just way too strong at the moment here, though. Despite the low HPs from Prod and Creators, they've been able to fend off 2 additional members of OXG moving in against them. Now it's, as you can see, caused OXG to really second-guess themselves. They're going to move all their drones into position to really confirm the positions of these 2 players before they swing in. They don't know if they've rotated out of there into Attic or potentially somewhere else. They're going to now that the drones have spotted them, and this could ultimately come back to bite them. Yeah, as Yogg misses the cross opportunity there. Case is still down by the big window as well. This is a tough one for OXG, but they've got to force the issue, and it starts out well for them as Yogg takes down Creators. Prod will fend off the first attempt to take him down, but the second will be a success as the big window hop seals the deal for OXG, and they take a second round.
Very well done from Oxygen. Love what I'm seeing from these guys across the board, and really just playing into the strategy that they've birthed here for Oregon. These frag grenades are paramount to their success and what they've been able to produce across most of that round. I mean, XSET are sending everything at them, trying for some different strategies in the way that they want to hold things, as well as the rotation patterns, but nothing really amounts to much up against this Oxygen roster right now. You know, these early picks really playing into their favor as well. They get smoke inside of that last round, which makes things difficult, but you know, they get down to that crunch moment yet again here, and Oxygen have a very solid execute, but yet again they make a critical blunder, and it's their case going down inside of sight in a moment where the defense has an opportunity to actually take the round away from you. That's 2 rounds in a row now for Oxygen, so a little bit of a scary thing going on inside of that department, but besides that, Oxygen are lights out currently. It's up to XSET to make some serious changes to try and take it to OXG.
XSET going to try and do that on the basic site downstairs here, and we'll see, as there will not be any major changes. I don't think there'll be any changes at all, in fact, on the operator lineup, so we can expect the overall utility setup to be very similar, if not identical, to what was done back in round number 1. But strategy-wise, as you said, some things will need to be changed up here because OXG had pretty much a perfect execute going into their favor there. Yeah, obviously a few trades lost, but there's no real avoiding that in a basement attack for the most part unless you have a very clean early round. So OXG, with that considered, still ends up with a very, very easy job of getting themselves into the basement and taking control of it during the defense that XSET put up. And now we'll have to see if they can make the necessary changes to put a round on the board for themselves here.
All right, now this is where I want to see some major changes here for XSET. We've already seen Oxygen deal with this situation, and they know that it's more than likely going to be here again. So what's XSET going to do to counteract Oxygen and what they want to do? That's the big question here, because obviously Oxygen are going to have the same answer. Razor's going to get this drone. They know he's here now, and they're more than likely going to start pouring in utility soon enough. But where's the other XSET members at? That's the real question. Looks like there is one around the tower area, and I believe that drone's found him as well. Vertical. That's another drone to be able to assist with that, and it's going to actually walk NVK off. So now both of these members stuck around this space, but does Yaga have any assistance? Doesn't look like he's going to need any just yet. He'll shoot just around the head of Razor, but we'll be able to tag him right in the shoulder. Be able to get some damage damage here, and that's going to force XSET off of that space. So it's not going to go down exactly in the same fashion that we saw the last time, but still the same result.
First minute having gone by, OXG still building up for themselves here, but in the process knocking away quite a bit of the extension that might have been there earlier from XSET, but is now long gone, meaning that Oxygen have the full remaining bit of this timer here in 1 minute and 40 seconds to plan their execute and their traversal ultimately into the basement. Members of XSET obviously are going to be very much ready for that challenge as well, but they were in the last round too that was played here, and unfortunately that didn't make much of a difference at the end of the day. Post-plant positions, or the positions that the defenders are going to take to avoid the plant here, are once again going to look very similar to round 1 as well, with the 2 players set up to hold the pillar room, and the remaining 3 anchors focused on the site area itself. OXG will probably realize this fairly quickly and begin to come up with a plan to pierce past that. However, OXG still poking at the bear a little bit here to see where the biggest weakness might be, as they're still setting up for quite a few deep dives, mainly focusing on Laundry at the moment. But as you can see, a couple other silhouettes working around, such as towards Freezer also. And no, NBK thinking he can get the advantage out against Yaga because the initial spray is not against him. A wrong theory at the end of the day, as OXG will take that kill instead and now have the first marker, yes, but 4 more need to be found here, and they only have 40 seconds to do it. That's a good way to start it, though, as they catch a panicking Creators moving through the freezer.
It's not looking too hot right now for XSET as Oxygen. They're able to get away with too much yet again, but finally Filthy and Razor, they'll fight back. Razor, he's going to get fragged out, but he's able to get another frag actually inside of Freezer, making a 2 versus 2 after Razor will go down. This is given an opportunity here to Filthy. Again, our player to watch for the day, but he's not able to start off with anything. Laxing immediately shuts it down, knowing the position as well as the angle. And it's going to be another round here from Oxygen, not doing the same thing twice. They flood in through Laundry. They're able to secure some very major kills on these XSET defensive members. Ends up leading to that 2vx that just could not be won.
Strategy for getting onto the site might have been slightly different, but the results were largely the same, as OXG once again does not have too many issues aside from those trades and locking down a couple of the stragglers deeper in the site. They have no problems taking control of the basement for themselves and securing that 3rd point on the board. So XSET gonna have to really stretch the playbook at this point. Obviously, the option was still there to repeat any of the sites that they have played previously, but instead, they're gonna head down to the 1st floor here and see if the extension towards this one will finally yield them a defensive round in their favor.
Yeah, I feel like XSET has reached the last page inside of their script right now, just trying to figure out exactly what they can do instead of what will win them around. And now they're down to one of the sites that no one really enjoys playing at the end of the day. It is going to be one of the tertiary ones in the likes of Meeting and Kitchen. We've seen people kind of finick with both of them. This is the more favorable one in my opinion, just because of the different levels that you can play around the Meeting space. So we'll see how XSET want to try and defend this. Usually it'll be through nitro cells and stuff like that per stage, with some longer angles played out towards Cafe, as well as a top hold going on, and that's looking to be the case here for XSET, as we'll be setting up this top floor alongside a few black eye cams, some holograms, and some ADSs.
We go quiet here for a few moments, as of course you guys at home will be used to at this point, as we wait to see how OXG is going to try and take the initial control for themselves, whether that will be trying to steal away the attic, maintaining some front control to work themselves closer towards the kitchen, or something else. It's looking like small tower push to get in towards kitchen is the main idea right now, but that only accounts for Yogg as well as Vertical. There's a whole lot more of a team to be seen for OXG, and more than likely more complexities to the strategy being built up by those 3 players. And they're looking for options to get into this map elsewhere too. As you can see over there towards the garage and front door part of the building there, you've got Kino and I believe Laxit trying to put pressure there.
As you said, used to these openings here and the way that Auction want to clear things, although it is still pretty quick, but still sticking to the usual game plan when it comes to Rainbow Six. Get the early intel, try and capitalize on it in the best way possible. Just what is your next step forward? And as for Oxygen right now, it's looking to be security. They have a member in here. It's going to be Filthy, very forward, but he doesn't have any ADSs to try and deal with this position, and now getting very aggressive. They know that he's more than likely in this space, but he'll get away with 1, and it's going to be a huge kill on Kino. That'll limit the hard breach going further on, but obviously they still have access to Foxay and that Mav torch, so we could be seeing that come into play along with the frag grenades that we've been seeing time and time again, and Vertical pops off. It's 2 big kills for him, but XSET still fighting back as well. cell, and it's just a hell in a cell across the entirety of the map at this moment. Everyone taking gunfights, and finally, as the dust settles, Waxing, I mean, he won't even let me stop. It's a 3 versus 1 here for Oxygen as they drone hole somebody, and it's all down to NVK inside of dorms.
NVK with no positioning on the site, too, trying to avoid it from a top-down angle here. Foxay carving through. He is going to cut off most of the hatch drop-downs, I believe, and yeah, that's exactly what NVK has gone for, so perfect read on the situation from Foxay as well as Laxing here. Pretty much the whole team, in fact, making sure that this hatch has Overwatch on it so that NVK can't really get much done, and even if he does try to go for this very bold drop, it's going to lead to a very swift end to the round. They'll hear him moving around here, realize the hatch is no longer going to be the go-to play, and start to line up counters for him elsewhere, which is going to be this white stairs push in the back. That's actually a great bank on that nade. NVK, thankfully, given the extra time to get away from it, though, since it wasn't cooked, but it will all be for naught as this flank is completed, I believe, by Foxay, regardless, to give OXG the final kill they need.
No, it was Vertical again. Vertical has just been popping off, man. He looks so dominant right now for Oxygen on this offensive side. And you can say that across the board for the entirety of this team. Oxygen has always been a squad, especially with the core that they have for this roster, that's enjoyed a very aggressive play style, and it just seems now that they've reached this point where they're able to play around each other so very well and capitalize on these situations extremely quickly, and that makes it to where rounds like this that break down in such an insane fashion, you know, Oxygen are able to actually maneuver inside of that space. It doesn't feel like, you know, everything's just pure calamity to them, as, you know, it probably does to XSET, because time and time again, you know, when those moments are happening, you're not really truthfully able to calm things how you would normally. You know, there's a lot of things going on a lot of different portions of the map, and Oxygen are time and time again overwhelming XSET. All apart rather than the basement attacks, obviously, because the basement attacks have been a completely different story for OXG. But either way, we got an XSET timeout here, guys, as they're going to try and figure out some things on this defensive half, and it just seems like we cannot have a defensive-sided Oregon here today.
No, certainly not. I'm a bit curious as to your thoughts on this, because I'm a bit conflicted right now. The playstyle we're getting from XSET, where they continue to peek into these duels, specifically they're like after they lose their first player or two, these little micro peeks they do, where it's just their head or two peeking out, but they seem to always be going the way of Oxygen. I'm curious kind of on your thoughts, if you think they need to cool that off, or if it's kind of required just due to the way these rounds are breaking down right now.
I don't think that it's a requirement. I think if anything, if XSET was going to make an adjustment right now, it's just away from gunfights and into utility. Oregon's a map that plays directly around that, and they haven't done that throughout any of this. We haven't seen like a setup downstairs where it's really leaned into that, and they're trying to just deny time from OXG. It's been just pure throwable denial and them trying to take gunfights, which hasn't favored in their play at all. So.
Thank you for that insight. Yeah, I was just wondering about that one, because XSET here, they've been winning a couple of the trades here. It's just the initial fights that are almost never going their way, and that's unfortunately making those fights that happen after that a bit of a misnomer, because even though they're 1-for-1 exchanges, Austin already has the advantage, so just by simple math, they're going to win a lot of those. But XSET still trying to bring this aggressive stance to the table regardless to counter out what we are seeing from OXG as Razor. Man, okay.
He saw the drone on the default. He was just like, no, not allowed. Not allowed. Impact. You can't drone this side of the building. What do you think? Anyways, Razor's going to get very aggressive here. And this is what I was scared of, John. This is what I was conflicted about. And I would be right to assume so. Because Yaga, I mean, we've had some like tough talks about Yaga. We have, especially you and I. He's had some rough games. But today, again, lights out, as you could say about the entirety of the roster.
Now, if those types of plays right there were more consistently going into XSET's favor, I'd be more supportive of the generally aggressive play style we're getting from XSET's defense right now. But because all of those initial fights seemingly are always getting lost by them, I can't really support the double down we're getting on that sometimes from XSET here. It's cooling off now as they're going to rotate more players into the basement, but they do try to fire back a little bit to get some revenge for the loss of Razor, ultimately for naught, though.
Yeah, I mean, or if Razor's going to do that, how about we do this thing called team play and we play off of each other? I think that would be a great idea, because if you're going to risk it, you might as well risk it to the fullest. This is what I've never understood about Rainbow Six when some of this stuff happens, is why are you just going to do it halfway? If you're going to do it, just do the thing fully, right? Because then you at least have an opportunity to refrag or make something of the situation. All that happened here is Razor died on a character that gets more discs over time. Congratulations. Like, you know, it's really unfortunate for the situation. And I'm not trying to be harsh to XSET. I think they're great players, but it's just super unfortunate overall. They're falling into the same tracks that they've had time and time again on these rounds. Now round 5 is building up to be the exact same thing, and they don't have Razor to bail them out in the dying moments either. Let's see how Oxygen are able to do this.
It is at a minimum causing a bit of a slowdown from OXG here, because they do have to watch out for random peaks as far as they're concerned that would come out here from time to time against them, trying to make this forward momentum push onto the site. But away from that, though, yeah, as you mentioned, all that aggressive play has done is cause an additional player from XSET to go down, and for OXG to have that extra layer of security on their execute of the additional player. Vertical here, a little bit of trouble locking down the pillar player. I believe that's going to be NBK rotating through. However, Prod will once again peek his head out into the open, and that's all that Vertical needs in this scenario. Shuts him down. OXG once again establish a 5v3 advantage, and just seconds before they're ready to go into the site as well. So history is looking to repeat itself yet again here. Although Kino will have to change the way he goes about it, as unfortunately the Toxic Babe will throw him away from the laundry play. This is not a great move either, considering that he's the one with the case. He's the one who needs to get onto the site here. We're going to see as well the Finko ability come out there to boost the team a little bit as they get ready to push forward, but no one from XSET revealing themselves anymore. A fairly aggressive team suddenly becomes much more passive, mainly because they have to, but even that will not necessarily lead to results. However, I'll close my mouth for a moment here as Filthy's able to run out, get 3 kills for himself. He's gonna look for a 4 on the M590, but it ultimately won't be needed. Yaga trades out one more, but the time is over, and XSET win it on the 0 timer as they finally pick up their first defensive round.
Well, that's the first time that we've seen them get it done with the guns. It's also going to get them their first round as well, off of the back of Filthy's efforts. And I wish we got to see every single one of those kills, because Oxygen, this is something I wanted to talk about. On these basement offenses, they're giving it to XSET from every single direction. You got a player on Big Tower, Laundry, as well as Freezer. All of these angles are being manned, as well as Oxygen had so much time after they cleared out that top floor and got the hatches open, that they were able to sit on the angles peering into sight for almost 45 seconds. And that's when they start getting those extra frags on top of what they already did to Razor earlier on. But it's a hero effort from XSET to make it out of that round, and they're able to finally get one on the board on the defensive side. And I mean, I'll be honest, I mean, you guys will shut me up for a round, because that round by all means should not have went their way.
Certainly the case there, as XSET get it done from a 3v5 and with the absolute bar minimum of map control they could have had in that situation as well. Just that tiny little bit of laundry closet, as well as the actual deeper part of the site itself, was really all they had to work towards there.
Yeah,
regardless.
poor creators, right? He's just trying to hide him behind the laundry unit there. He's like, please don't shoot me, man. I'm just trying to find some cover. Like, they do it with only that laundry room as well as the closet inside of Supply. That's it. You know, outside of that, all you have is Oxygen members abroad across the entirety of the map. So, again, very well fought from XSET to get out of that.
Yeah, and Oxygen, unfortunately, having their choice of an execute, picked the wrong route in as they are fended off by that tiny little hole deeper in the site. But just a bump in the road as far as they're concerned at this point. A 4-1 scoreline still is going to be incredibly dominant in OXG's favor. Even the 4-2 will be very healthy for them if XSET is able to repeat their success into a second round here now. They have had to move it upstairs, but despite that, have a little bit of a first floor hold going on in security right now. It's actually a bit of a split hold as they'll be going down into the basement too, as they're using the hatch to retreat. Speaking of which, those two players in that position are very quickly going to fall back closer to the site, because their positions unfortunately aren't going to be very useful in the long run now that they know where OXG is starting to work their way in from.
But, I mean, just look at this. Yaga's already on white stairs, and there's no utility here. They've already gotten the drone up. He's going to have this angle for so very long, as well as I believe most of XSET's roster is back on site. And not only that, they're on some very deep angles as well. This is giving up a lot of this space. Razor's going to miss, or rather, Yaga's going to miss some very crucial shots onto Razor. Going to take a little bit of damage there, but be able to reside inside of dorms a little bit longer. Be able to stack those shields up going into the late round now. But here's the issue. Oxygen have made so many angles in towards this space. This is already building up towards an execute, as well as the drone intel working into their favor as well. Look, XSET once again with very low map control, and truthfully, Oxygen haven't actually worked their way onto site.
The problem here now is XSET have fallen fully back to the site here with all 5 players alive. This is just too claustrophobic of a situation to some extent here. There's no room for players to rotate in between, so when one player gets spotted out by a drone, as we just saw there for Razor, it's far too easy of a task for Oxygen to take that player out, because there's a very good chance they're not going to move, because they have nowhere else to move in this specific situation. More players going down, though, will alleviate that concern, and OXG also getting a little bit closer to the null timer here as we enter the last minute of the round. They're going to start moving their way in, and XSET will start to fend them off. Prod and NVK both making their mark to get kills in their favor. Brings it down into XSET's favor overall now as we fall to a 4v3. Kino still primed to move in, trying to get himself into game so they can at least start to put the case down on the ground. Here we go. First attempt from him. Will it be stopped? Does XSET still have a lot of real estate in this area? Filthy pushing out of the white, does not see the plan apparently. Kino will take him down. NVK able to exchange that back out. Still leaves XSET in control of the player count, but no longer as Laxix picked up a trade. He's got a chance for a second one, but Vert will steal it from him as it all falls for XSET to NVK, holding top white stairs control. He's retaken the case, but now he's got to go on a wild hunt to figure out where these last two players are going to be positioned at. Vertical, incredibly low and basically one-shottable. Laxing was at full HP, but no longer. Now NVK just needs to figure out Vertical, get that one bullet onto him, and he's got this round. But Vertical playing it from below. He can't get the spam dangle, though. He's going to try to run around instead. However, he did get NVK off the case, so no longer is the timer going to play into XSET's favor. He just has to wait this one out, and he'll do one better as he gets the kill as well to give OXG another round.
So XSET are able to at least work against the entry of Oxygen, but yet again, they get so tunnel visioned in the moment that they're not aware that Kino's even putting a bomb down. He's putting the case down right next to Filthy while he's combating White Stairs, and he has zero clue. There's no intel game for XSET, as well as with their defensive setup. They're playing so deep into sight that it's just allowing Oxygen to get really pushed forward and find these moments to get that case down in the first place. So it's just super unfortunate for them right now. I like how they were able to fight back initially just because Oxygen couldn't make anything really happen with their info department when it came to the actual execute. They didn't know the positioning of those members, so they're able to get the kills early, but past that, the Oxygen still have the map control to be able to get done what was necessary.
A little bit of a change up here in the utility department going to come out from XSET's attacking roster as these teams will switch sides, and we will see that change up on the very bottom right of your screen there. It's going to be the Ying being brought in for Razor, which we did not see at all for OXG on these basement attacks. She has become a bit of a mainstay specifically for attacking this site, however, so it's not going to be too much of a surprise that XSET brought to the table. It just means we're going to get a little bit of a different attack, more of an all-in bombastic affair here as the team is going to try to flood in, more than likely from the electrical hatch, but could very easily work with any other route as well.
We'll have to see what they want to do. Obviously, for Oxygen, they threw a couple of curveballs at XSET for their downstairs defense. We saw everything from E-box drops to freezer as well as laundry.
Dog's gonna do one now too.
Yeah, everyone's just hopping outside. I guess that they just simply want them to know that they're there. It's just a, it's just a call out. It's, hey, come fight me. I'm around freezer stairs. But we'll have to see if anyone from XSET actually tries to go into this area, as they have a couple of people that they can risk more than others. Obviously, Razor's not going to be one of those with the current operator that he will be bringing to the table. Ying's something that you want to try and keep safeguarded until the end point where she can really make the most of those Candelas executing onto site. But you can say the same for a couple of these different players, but that's not going to mean anything for Oxygen. They're going to back Yaga off here and choose to play things a little bit more defensively, although they will be playing quite aggressively towards the stairwells.
Trying to once again stunt the overall attack before it has a chance to even find a comfortable intel point here for XSET. So OXG with those close stairway positions is hoping that a couple members of the team might try to burst down there for the initial peek without checking it with a drone, or just haphazardly doing so even with the players being spotted, and they might be able to get a kill from that engagement. But so far, not leading to a whole lot here for OXG, as they've just had to peel back from those positions more than anything, due to being spotted out by those drones.
Well, as for Oxygen now, it's been a delayed game here for them, as XSET's been really trying to lean things into this info game, but now have to try and get these hatches open. It has been a slow broil, as we've seen. Here's going to run Gemini down the main stairs here, not going to get too much. It'll be Laxing to try and head that off. Oxygen just have to maintain patience here, not try and push things too far forward up against XSET right now, as they've just gotten their things set up on their side. around the entirety of this site. Working construction right now is Razor, but I believe he's by himself. MVK is going to have a cross angle here for the tower stairs, so if anybody does go to that pillar position, and more than likely he'll be able to take them down. Actually does have two other people here in tow, or actually one. The Gemini's even going to bait me. It's going to be the Yana here outside to try and assist him. So see what they're able to get done with this space. They have plenty of throwables to be able to burn these you know, utility hotbeds, as well as get rid of some of these shields, but I don't know if they'll be able to take it to oxygen when it comes down to this crunch time. In comes the Candelas. Now we're going to get our answer.
First one is out. It is going to open up primarily towards the pillar room here, and OXG will swing away from it, getting out of the way. This is not going to be a complete dump, though. The other two are still being held for further rooms closer to the site here. A few members of XSET taking damage, but nobody going down. Nitro thrown into E, but it's way too early there, and it's going to do minimal damage as well. The time is the real kicker here for XSET. They need to move forward, and they need to do it now, but they're only moving forward into their own deaths, it would seem. Prod so far, the only one that can leverage a kill for XSET. Oxygen even killing their own teammates apparently, but it's not going to matter as they close out on round number 7 with another solid defense, this time being put up in the basement.
Yeah, I will definitely give it to the Ella player, though. They clapped whoever that Malusi was. That was crazy. What a shot. What a shot. Either way, though, Oxygen up 6-1 right now. And, I mean, Veli said it earlier, but it just feels like today has went by so very quickly. I mean, even for me, man, I barely got to knock the rust off, dude. Like, I've had a cold, had to take some cold medication. I've been feeling great. We barely had any time to cast, dude. I really hope that XSET gets to stick around here for a couple more rounds. But as of right now, it just doesn't seem like they can get anything done that they're looking to do up against this OXG squad.
Curious with Laxing here, because I want to see what weapon he's running when we get in game, because he had the Malusi shotgun on the last round, and now I'm just curious if he's full sending it here at all. But no, he is going to bring the SMG to the table instead. It's of making us a real fun time for potentially the final round here by bringing the Frost shotgun out for a bit of a play there. Instead, we are going to see those welcome mats still being used quite potently. He did have 2 down by the big window, but I think he's just repositioning that one for a better placement so that it can't be so easily shot without hopping in.
Yeah, it's all about product placement when it comes to the welcome mats, you know? It's just like they teach you when you work at a superstore. You got to move it all the way to the front of the shelf. Got to make sure that it looks nice and everything's nice and square and neat. Otherwise, your manager yells at you and tells you that you're not doing anything, even though that's actually what you were doing. What's up?
Labels at the face of the front.
Exactly. Labels to the front. Yeah. You know, you got to make sure everything's straight. Dude, when I used to work at like a hardware store, dude, I would just sit in the nuts and bolts for hours.
Because nobody knows what a can of Campbell's soup looks like from the back.
Dude, chicken noodle soup possibilities, you know? Like,
yeah, I don't know what flavor it is. You know? I can turn it around and see
you get all the way home and you're just like, tomato again.
Man, they got me again. I should have turned it around.
Oh, I can't believe that they didn't set the labels to the front.
All right, well, let's take a look here at the strat from OXG, as they're just kind of lazing the day away at the moment here, waiting for XSET to bring their own aggression to the table in the first 40 seconds of the round here. First player on OXG that'll meet contact is absolutely going to be Yaga, as he's getting chased all the way upstairs here. Vertical on the other side of the map in the meantime here is standing by for a potential opening of this. He's going to try and just chuck the drone out so that he can easily use it in a second. Also is going to get Vertical off of watching the wall as well, because he'll think the drone would have been coming his way due to that chuck out noise, when in reality that is obviously not the case. So Prod has a little bit more of a safe position now as a result of that, but more than likely that security has since faded away. Actually, no, there's another drone that is actually going to be sent through into there, so once again, Vertical will have to be careful about the way that he plays this out, and he'll actually just give up the position entirely. I didn't realize the hatch was open, but it is, and he drops all the way back down to the first floor to potentially navigate against these players.
I think that he did it on timing with the panel falling out as well, so it might have actually masked his drop. Vertical might be able to make it through here, folks. So you see those kills popping up later. He more than likely got the tower flank or something around this freezer space. Either way, we'll see what he's able to get done. And now Creators, he's going to hop inside of White, but obviously that audio cue will go towards the way of Vertical. So we'll see how that tries to break down later, as XSET trying to get some things done, and Vert, the timing right now. The timing right now, it's insane. He's able to get one, and that's actually going to be huge. They'll take down the Yana. They've already dealt some serious damage to this intel department as well. Smoke's in, and Yogg's actually going to move inside of it. I feel like I'm casting a completely different game right now if this works out with the Candelas holding the crosshair. And oh, Razor! He oversteps, and Yaga through the smoke takes him out. This is looking like the last round, then Oxygen will be allowed to live here on Oregon as Foxay pushes it even further. Prod's going to give himself to the Wolves, and NBK, the lone soldier against 4 to try and beat it out against XSET, but it doesn't matter. Kino, he'll set things up, and he'll tee off with the M590. Oxygen lay XSET to bed.
OXG heard some of the analyst desk talking about how they might not have been the best team in the region right now and wanted to give us a show to prove that they are once again. OXG shut it down here against XSET, 7-1 in their favor as they claim another 3 points, and the visor goes back on.
Are you sure that isn't like the new Google glasses or anything? He doesn't have like a HUD or something to look at under there?
There was that segment, right? They have all that like crazy tech for like performance and stuff. Like, so maybe there's like some crazy stuff in the gauntlet. We wanted to have the admins take a look at that one. Actually, we'll call them over in a second to see what's going on in those.
Much better than usual. Someone please check computer. Just like, yeah, but either way, man, Oxygen just lights out today here on Oregon. Not much to complain about at all for me, man. I think the only thing that we can really get on them about at all is some of the things in the way that they broke down with the case placement. But that's neither here nor there. All of those rounds looked winnable for Oxygen, and that's just enough in and of itself to have a successful game. And I mean, that is even underwhelming in what I'm saying for a 7-1 victory.
And meanwhile, for XSET, unfortunately, not a whole lot working out in their favor today. Just couldn't find a way to get ahead, specifically in the early round, but that carried forth and compounded into the mid and late round as well for their defense, specifically these aggressive swings, trying to find ways to equalize the man count, make that final fight or two a little bit more palatable for them to come out on top of. But more often than not, it just led to more deaths against them, and more of a futile fight in the final round there, which would always go the way of OXG. So as a result of that, they take a swift victory at 7-1, and XSET is not able to successfully upset against one of these top echelon NA teams again. Although credit to them, they've done that in previous weeks. It's just a matter of consistency now of being able to bring that type of performance to the table in every single game. We know they have the potential. We just need to see it more often.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for XSET, I think this is going to be a learning situation for them up against Oxygen. And, you know, what we saw from Oxygen today, which was elite gameplay. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for John and I on the desk. We'll be back next week, but don't go anywhere. We've got an analyst desk with some beautiful people on it that would love to talk to you.
And thank you from the beautiful commentators that just got done with the game. Shout out to Blue and Stokes, by the way, for fantastic commentary today. But with the replays brought to us by Predator, that's it. Oxygen and Oregon, we saw another fast Oregon map. XSET was unable to win. Oxygen still looking strong. And Jesse and Jacob, I'm going to hear all of your thoughts about this last match that we had today.
Yeah, regrettably, I think the map choice was already a bit of a nail in the coffin for XSET, but then the way that OXG played on attack on a map that we know is typically defender-sided was already kind of enough. Like, I had a feeling like maybe around round 4, that was kind of the win condition for OXG, and they proved me right.
Yeah, Oxygen, fantastic game as usual. We expect this from them on Oregon. They absolutely stomped out XSET, played really, really good Siege. No complaints on my end. XSET, you know, definitely struggling a bit there on defense, and then on attack didn't really get any better. Tough game. Notable stat line for me is that Creators going 1-7. I really felt like Creators was a big reason why XSET were able to take down Dark Zero. He was huge in that game. For him to not show up here, I think that was a very important moment.
I think the most important thing as well is the fact that Vertical went 12-2, by the way. It was 3-0 when it came to opening kills. 100% calls yet again. And I got to ask the question, Jesse, Jacob.
Yeah.
If you guys had to... Oh, I'm putting you in the hot spot. If you had to choose an MVP right now for this season, is it Vertical or Hot and Cold?
Well, hold on.
Season or the stage?
The season or the stage?
The stage. Yeah. I'm sorry. The stage.
That's so close. I think I'd go Houghton, but we still got 2 more games, and it's a neck-and-neck race right now.
It really is. I think when we're looking at kills, Hot and Cold right now is 73 overall, and when you add these to Vertical's total, I think he's at 69. Nice. So if we keep on getting this to be as close of a race as it is, like, both of them are competing to see if they can't maybe even break Eclipse's stage-by-stage KPR record. They're actively working on that in tandem right now, so it's really close between the two of them.
Vertical is killing it. And by the way, one more stat thing for this page is the fact that one thing that, Jesse, we've spoken about and we love is the fact that the one thing about XSET that we like is that they strike early with those early kills, and they were unable to do that more than once, with Filthy being the only one getting an opening kill. But other than that, shout out to Oxygen, man. They're the winners. And Jacob, on that Vertical note right now, man, give me some love for him, because Vertical, week in and week out, has been a top performer for Oxygen, and he's leading the way. He wasn't like this at the beginning of the season, and now he is just here to stay. His dominance is just undeniable right now.
Yeah, big improvement. It comes down to the way that OXG have opted to shift a whole bunch of things on their team around, and he's the one who's excelling at the top of the charts as a direct result of those changes. It's nice that we get to see it. It's also nice that we get to see Spawny. Can I get a cat jam in chat real quick right before we have to close up? I like Vertical a lot in the role that he's currently playing. If OXG continued to utilize him in this way, then I hope that what happens in the future is, if they end up qualifying for Sweden, which at this point is very likely that they will, perhaps even qualifying for the 6th Invitational, it only takes a couple more points for them to do that, and the way that everyone on this team is playing, but Vertical especially, looks like it's a bona fide formula for success.
Yes. Now, Jesse, any last words for that last series we saw? Because I know you had a few things to say about Oxygen's nade play. You wanted to say a piece on Filthy. What do you really want to get off your chest?
I'll combine those 2 points real quick, Valley. I thought Oxygen had amazing nade play, and we talked about how Filthy in the last game on Smoke had a couple more opening deaths than we wanted to see from him. Well, the first 2 rounds were opening deaths from Filthy to frag grenades, so I kind of told the whole story right from there, you know? It happens, and hopefully we'll see that improve a little bit going forward.
Yes, now we actually have a community poll. I like how you brought it together, by the way. Good stuff.
Thank you.
The question is, NVK and Laxing are both in the top 10 of North American players for career kills per round. Wow. Who will have the highest KPR in this match? All right, Jesse, you go first this time around.
Yeah, I mean,
when they say career, they mean career, for real?
Yes.
That's nuts.
That's insane, yeah. I think I would probably go Laxing here. I mean, it is the expected team. It's expected result. We went with OXG in the game prediction, so I'll go with Laxing in the Twitter poll.
Jacob, I'm going to have to go with Laxing as well, man. Laxing has been in the league. MVK is coming off of retirement, so do we really expect him to go toe-to-toe with Laxing like that this early?
I do think a lot of people who were old Evil Geniuses fans are going to give him that kind of bump, but in terms of who still has, you know, like active relevancy, people who have been in the league for as long as Laxing has been without taking a break, yeah, I'm inclined to give it to Laxing.
Yep, Laxing, I'm going to believe it's going to be the winner. I don't know who won, but 65 to 35%. You know what, though? I will say this. Let NVK get warmed up. Let him get his hands back. The old man has to get, you know, the carpet toner and everything worked out, because once he shakes off the rust and he gets back in the groove, I can't wait. I came back. I did Pro League during, I believe, one of NVK's last seasons, so I never really saw NVK in his prime at all. That would be incredible to see. But, fellas, MVP of the day. Few names that come up to mind. Obviously, Vertical. What was he? 14-2. Yeah. We saw Hot and Cold pop off. Who else do you guys think could be in the conversation?
I will make a case for Bolo. Yeah. Because even though he didn't have a game that had like a crazy number of kills, I still feel like he was impact fragging, he was plant blocking, he was just being run into and given free frags, especially towards the end of their game versus the Sonics. So I'd take Bolo in a heartbeat.
And that's really good, because Bolo did start off, what, 0-3 and then came back and helped out his team.
Yeah,
Jesse?
That's true. 100%.
Yeah, I'll throw out Konic's name into the ring. I thought he had a really good game and popped off on Finka, so maybe he'll be the one to take it today.
I know his name won't be on the list as well, but Rampy went 7-3, and he was very influential in his match. But all right, let's see who it's gonna be. I'm thinking it's gonna be Franklin, aka Vertical. The MVP of this play day is drumroll.
We don't know.
Oregon.
Wait.
Okay.
Hot and cold.
Hot and cold.
Okay.
Hot and hotter. All right, fellas. Any thoughts?
I mean, Hot and Cold, we talk about him as the best player in the entire league, and I think he's earned that title with strong performances time and time again. 13 and 6, 89 cost, 3 opening kills. If my memory is correct,
Jesse?
that's 0 opening deaths. Is it really back-to-back? It feels like it's every week this time, Belly.
Yes, no, it feels like every week, but hot and hotter just isn't stopping at this point, man.
I want to go
He's
back,
gotta jump on it.
like at this point, and look and try to figure out how many times Hot and Cold's gotten like an MVP award or like a Team of the Week thing. He got it like okay, so twice in stage 1. I'm looking through real quick to see if stage 2 also has it.
I think Liquipedia tracks that, right?
He was an MVP of the major
Liquipedia
that day,
does track
that
it. So
0-1.
he was Team of the Week twice in stage 1. He was an MVP twice in stage 2, and so far in stage 3, I believe he's been up here, including this game, twice already. So far, I think he might be up there for most MVP or Team of the Week selections in NAL history. It's insane.
That is absolutely nuts. As long as he doesn't shave his beard, this is the best man I know in North America. But also, fellas, let's talk about the standings. Jacob, this is all you, baby. You love standings. You give us your power rankings every morning, man. So what we've seen so far. Okay, so let's run through this, Jacob. XSET, they're Astralis won, so they're not at the bottom anymore, right? What other shakeups have we seen so far with our standings?
Well, we had a team qualify for Sweden and subsequently the NA Finals. The Space Station will be doing that off the back of their win, and Beast Coast also not managing to get any points in their game. So that is how that part of things is shaken up, and they will remain in first place above OXG because even though they've both got 15 points, that is the tiebreaker. Astralis getting out of last place is really good for anyone who's an Astralis fan, but that game against OXG for XSET means that they have even less opportunities to still get points as this stage goes on. The middle pack is going to be interesting. I'm curious if Dark Zero have the potential after their game today to get themselves out of 5th place and maybe get into top 4, or if we are already looking at North America's top 4 right now, SSG, OXG, Sonics, and TSM. That could be your 4 representatives going to Sweden.
Now, this is the craziest part. Well, with TSM's game and them getting 10 points today, it made it even harder, and they separate themselves from the rest of the pack. So even if they lose next play day, and let's say, Mirage wins, Mirage is still 1 point beneath them. TSM had a really good day today, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, TSM, I think, are starting to distinguish themselves from the pack. I think that win over Sonics not only like gets them 3 points, it gets them up to 10. That's a big jump away from 6, obviously. That's more than a full game. But I think that this is like, the fact that it was against the Sonics really solidifies that TSM, at least on a skill level, are within the top of North America. I think there were some questions about that at the beginning of the stage. I think they had a very rocky start to the stage, but I still think it's TSM. They look really good. It's taken them a little while to get back, you know, playing with their full roster and all the changes that they've been trying out with their team, but I think they're finally finding what clicks, and I think it's only up from here for TSM.
Well, there you go. All right, now, fellas, time to take a look at next week's schedule, the 13th, and the first game of the day will be Space Station Gaming, red hot, #1 team in North America. The only team that is qualified for Sweden, by the way, facing off against Beast Coast. Now, Jacob, with all the other games we have on our list, I mean, obviously, Oxygen versus DZ should be a banger, right?
Oh, I mean, it totally should be. The thing about this, though, is you kind of have to factor in that there are 3 teams or 4 teams already in the top 4 that can just continue getting points and putting themselves even higher than the remainder of the NAL field. Look at this. Space Station, TSM, Sonics, Oxygen, all of them do not play one another. So all we could end up seeing is an even greater separation between top 4 and bottom 5, and guaranteed we will lock in more teams for the 6th Sweden major next week.
I'm definitely ready for it, but also that gives us opportunities for upsets, fellas. So that is pretty much it for the day. Jesse, it has been fun. I love hearing your breakdowns. You've been phenomenal as usual. You along with Jacob. Any last words you have to say to the viewers at home that's been giving us their love and support all day today?
Thank you, Valley. I mean, it's been a fantastic day. I thought today was a lot of fun. Kind of quick for my liking, but you know what? Sometimes some of the best games are faster. So, a really great day so far today. As Jacob has been talking about, and I've been talking about, you've been talking about, so many implications still going down. We have 1 team locked in for the major, but still 0 NA teams technically locked down for SI next week. That is going to be what I'm looking out for. Also, XSET, right now, the bottom of the standings. Next week's going to be their best opportunity against TSM to break out of that last place spot. If they don't win it there, I mean, it's SSG in week or Playday 9. That's going to be tough. So big, important games coming up next week. You don't want to miss it.
That's a terrifying end to the season, right? Facing off against those boys. Jacob, how you feeling today, man? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was a quicker day than I thought too. Two different teams trying to go for different Oregon speed runs, which kind of made it go by faster than anticipated. But we talk about crunch time. I usually associate crunch time with like the last 3 weeks of a stage, just because in the North American League there's only one play day in the last couple of weeks, and that's where you don't really have that many opportunities to make up points if you're behind or secure your spot if you think you're ahead of the rest of the pack. But for every North American team out there, this is my message. Don't stop. Do what you've been doing this whole time that's netted you success. Find a way to maybe make 1 or 2 tweaks, but don't change up your entire game plan just for the sake of this stage. Obviously, if you're trying to avoid relegation, it's a different story. But if you're looking to still make it to Sweden and to SI, know that whatever happens over these next 2 weeks, the pressure that other teams know is on you. They will be looking at what you do and trying to counter strat as much as they can and work against you. So do what you can and don't give away too much. North America needs to go and win another major, and I will unashamedly root for my boys from the sidelines, but it's all about ensuring that what you do for these last 2 weeks of crunch time leads to international success, and I know that you can do it.
We all believe you can do it. Now, for those of you at home, all right, you tune into NAL for the storylines and for the good games right now. Let me paint a picture for you, call me Billy Picasso, because I'm looking at the standings, and this is the beautiful part about it. Now, a few things we're going to have to keep our eyes on when it comes to next week, and also the very last play day is the biggest one. TSM currently with 10 points in the 4th spot. Now, TSM, they can go to Sweden. They can get that major spot. But the one team that could possibly beat them there is going to be Dark Zero. Now, there's 2 play days, and how are they going to make it? Dark Zero, they will have 2 games that they're going to have to play on the final play day, and that's going to decide just about everything, pending what happens on the 13th. So if you like storylines, if you like upsets, you have the top teams going against the bottom half of teams, and we might be able to see those upsets. We might be able to see those storylines unfold before our eyes. So knowing us on this desk and how much we love chaos, we all can't wait for it, and I know you guys can't wait for it at home. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to Rainbow Six Siege, especially the North American League. I'm going to give a shout out to the producers, Ubisoft, all the commentators, and all of you at home. This is what we love to do, and we'll catch you guys on the 13th for even more Rainbow Six Siege action. Hope you all have a beautiful day, and you take care of yourselves. See you next time.